Hi y'all, this is Larry McAllister II. For those of you who don't know me, I'm a creative professional who's in love with all things entertainment, society, culture, current events, and I really want to try something new here. This is a bit of an experiment for me. I constantly find that I have a lot to say about different pieces of media I encounter, but I don't always feel like writing about them. Sometimes it's just easier to say my thoughts out loud, so that's what this is going to be. I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet, but each week I'm going to talk about one piece of entertainment, advertising, or social media that I have some thoughts on. So to get things started, this week I'm going to talk about Rampage. Really? So Rampage is a 2018 film directed by Brad Peyton, who, if you're not familiar with him, he's the guy who directed San Andreas, and he's also the director of the classic Cats and Dogs, The Revenge of Kitty Galore, probably his most top-tier work. But Rampage is based on the classic arcade video game. You might remember it. You play as George or Ralph or Lizzie, and, you're these three people that turn into giant monsters, and you're forced to kind of destroy buildings, eat people, and kind of survive as you cause destruction around the city. Somehow they decide to make that into a big blockbuster. Should have worked, right? So the movie starred Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, or Dwayne Johnson as he prefers to be called now, but he'll always be The Rock in my heart. Naomi Harris, who you may remember as Moneypenny in the most recent James Bond films. Malin Ackerman, who most people probably don't know that well. She's in a ton of different movies, but the one that comes to mind, or that I think will come to mind for those who would actually spend the time to listen to this, she was the second Silk Spectre in the Watchmen movie. And rounding that out would be Jeffrey Dean Morgan, who many people right now know as Negan, but he was also in Watchmen as the comedian. If you want my review, here it is. It was fine. It's nothing special. The thing that I really want to talk about is what I feel like could make it a little bit more special, or at least a lot more dumb. I found myself really wanting to dumb this movie up. I always think about those, the Fast and the Furious movies. I think about, Michael Bay and the Transformers movies, or basically any Michael Bay movie. And I felt like this movie could have been one of those. Like, it very easily could have been, your late spring, beginning of summer, start to get everybody in the mood for the dumb summer of action that's about to occur. Especially when you're coming out before things like Avengers Infinity War, you're coming out before Deadpool 2. I would need to look at the list of movies coming out this summer again, but I felt like this would have been a slam dunk in terms of really reaching those audiences that need their summer action fix early. There's not a new Fast and the Furious coming out. The Rock's new Die Hard movie, I'm not sure when that's coming out, but I don't think that even quite has the same feel as something like this, where you have giant monsters, they're destroying a city, you have the military is in it, there's all sorts of ridiculousness that really could have been capitalized on, and I don't feel like they kind of went far enough with it. And before you're like, what are you saying? There was all sorts of ridiculousness in that film. Yes, I get it. A gorilla fought a giant crocodile and a giant wolf, and it was pretty radical in that way. But the monsters could have been bigger. The destruction could have been greater. The military could have been doing more. Again, just thinking about all of the ridiculousness of some of the establishing shots and things like the Transformers movies or even Pearl Harbor. I didn't get one of those amazing kind of set piece moments, save for one that I really don't want to ruin for anybody in case they do decide to go see the movie. It's pretty early on, and it involves Joe Manganiello, who some of you might know is going to be playing Deathstroke in the DC universe, maybe if the DC universe continues to be a film universe. It's a really great sequence in the film, and it was something that I felt like it needed more of, something that was kind of missing throughout the rest of the film. And even beyond that, one of the things that, again, thinking about Fast and Furious movies, The Rock, when you have him, you have the opportunity to do some, really great stuff with him. He's today's Schwarzenegger, really. give him more ridiculous one-liners, give him more action set pieces. You know, there were times in this movie where even though The Rock was the main character, I felt like he wasn't there at all. And I feel like that's another blown opportunity for this. You know, you have arguably the most charismatic movie star that we could possibly get right now, and you know, he feels lackluster in this role, you know, and maybe they told him to do that. Maybe they told him, hey, play down, be the everyman, but it just didn't feel right. It didn't feel like who Dwayne The Rock Johnson is. And so realistically, like that's kind of like my main complaint about the movie overall. Like, yes, it was the dumb Saturday morning popcorn crunching movie that I really wanted this week, that I really needed this week. But at the same time, I thought it could have been more. It could have been more for greater audiences. For example, like even a couple of weeks ago, I really did not enjoy Ready Player One, but the audience that I was with, I heard people clapping at the end of the film. No one clapped at the end of Rampage. There were a ton of children in that movie, ready for the action, ready for the excitement, you know, ready to see what happened to The Rock and to George. And you know, I didn't hear the little kids cheering at the end of the movie. And that's what you hope for with these kinds of things. You want to make sure that you kind of have that reaction from your audience. And so I guess that's it for this first week, this first test. So if you have feedback, definitely hit me up on Instagram or Twitter or wherever you want to reach out to me the most, at LarryTron on pretty much everything. I'd really love to hear what you think, what you might want me to kind of talk about. Feel free to send me examples of things that you think I should be looking at. As much as this is about my thoughts, I really want this to feel like it's a conversation, even if I'm not actually talking to anybody else and I'm just talking to myself. I want to be able to kind of bring up those people that send me stuff to check out. So next week, I'll definitely be talking about Avengers Infinity War, which I can't wait to go see on Thursday. But I might do one of these before then and dive into either some of the podcasts that I'm listening to currently or some of the YouTube channels that I frequent, and you know, basically talk about why I follow those channels or listen to those podcasts. So like I said before, drop your thoughts in a comment, tell me what you think, and you'll be hearing from me again soon. Peace.